for that challenge, and we all take it to heart. The next step for today is to continue to try to jumpstart our minds and give us some food for thought before we go off to our individual sessions. And so in the spirit of TED Talks, we have our first ZED Talk. So I'd like to introduce Leone Smith from Leone College.
Good morning. We're just getting things set up. Right, before we begin, while we're waiting for this, let me start by saying a really big thank you to every single one of you. You are the teachers. You are the ones creating all other professions in this country. And sometimes it's a very thankless job, isn't it? So let me be the one this morning to say thank you. Thank you for giving up your weekends for marking. Thank you for giving up your afternoons for sport. Thank you for everything that you do for the students in this country for the sole purpose of making the world a better place. So I'm going to start with that. Testing. Oh, it works. Look, I have Madonna mine. Right, let's begin. I wanted to start off the morning by telling you what a huge honor it is that I'm able to do this ZED Talk, the very first one that we're doing here in Zambia. And it is in the spirit of a teachers' conference. It is, after all, a teachers teaching teachers conference. And every single one of you has something to teach someone else. And if you have a look, this is the basic premise of our conference. That everyone you will ever meet in the world knows something that you don't. And if we can utilize that, we would be the smartest people ever. So, speaking of knowing things that you don't know or doing something you don't know, I'm going to juggle. What can I use? Oh! Look what I found. This is going to be good. Right. Now the trick of juggling, those of you who are really interested in becoming famous jugglers, is not to throw it too high, and most importantly, catch it. Right, let's do it. I meant to do that. You see, the real magic trick was not in the juggling, it's in the fact that they did not break. How did she perform this amazing feat of sorcery? I will tell you. A pot of water, a little bit of salt, about 7 minutes. I boiled the arrow. Now, we have an English expression that goes, whenever you're in trouble, you're in hot water. And so I put these eggs into hot water to show you what happens to something. Ooh, look how I'm shaking. I think my hands are shaking, see my knees. What happens to something when it's constantly in hot water? A little bit of hot water is good for us. A little bit of hot water motivates us, gets us going. But if you are constantly in hot water, if you're constantly being criticized, you become hard because of the lack of empathy in your world. And you are no longer a happy egg. I'm using this analogy to remind you that we have little souls in our care. You may think that you have an unruly classroom, You may think that you have a special needs classroom. You may think that you have a particularly undisciplined child that needs to be in trouble all the time. But what you really have is a life in your hands. And it is your responsibility to make sure that that life is looked after. Now, one of the big conflict-causing issues that we have is frustration between teachers and learners. So we're going to do a little exercise on frustration. Please take part with me in this. And what I'm going to do is ask you to pair up. Just the person sitting next to you, if you're on the edge, maybe the person behind you or in front of you. And I want you to decide on your favorite fruit. It can be the most delicious fruit. It can be the most nutritious fruit. Whatever your favorite fruit is, I want you to choose one, and then the person next to you, please choose a different one, otherwise this won't work. Okay, and I'm going to give you 60 seconds to convince the person next to you that your fruit is better. Go! So we're going to try it again. Can I have the lights, please? One more time. We're going to try it again. This time we're going to do it with something a little bit more controversial. The person on the left, you are an avid Trump supporter. The person on the right, you are an avid Trump hater. Go! These feelings are completely normal. When we try and get someone to see things from our perspective, frustration arises. However, when we are too occupied with our own perspective, there can be a definite conflict of interest. And this can lead to arguments and sometimes even bullying. What was particularly fun to see was some of the bigger people in the audience starting to loom over the smaller ones as they're trying to make their point. Bullying is the proverbial elephant in the room that most schools face on a daily basis. My little reading knowledge goes. The CDC defines bullying as an unwanted, aggressive behavior among school-age children that involves a real or perceived power imbalance. The behavior is repeated or has the potential to be repeated over time. We see it on the playground, and we try and curb it as much as we can. But more often than not, bullying is done behind our backs, and by the time we found out about it, there's nothing we can do but try and mend the broken hearts of the victims. Now, I could speak for hours on the hows and the whys of bullying, but we've heard it all. It's no new information to any of you. And we as educators are mostly concerned with a solution to the problem rather than just talking about the problem. So, I have an idea. There's a really good method of discipline that is used in a lot of classrooms, which I'm going to show to you right here. Have a look. How did you develop this fear of the number 3? It is a method that is used in a lot of classrooms, and it's really good for discipline. Because if people aren't listening, it's very easy. Number 3 has more power than any other number. And I don't know why, because 7, 8, 9, so surely 7 should be scarier. But the number 3, when you get to it, everyone listens. There are a lot of ways that we can use it in the classroom. So I thought of looking at some applications outside the classroom of, this counting to 3. Here's a typical playground. Aren't those kids cute? They're mine. Right. We have 2 children on the playground. The one child wants to go and play on the swings. The other one wants to play in the sand. So here's how the conversation goes. Come on! I want to go. No, I'm playing. Seriously, there is no sand. It's just rain. It's basically a mud puddle. Can we please go to the swings? I'm finding fish. Right. That's it. I'm going to count to 3. And if you don't get up and go to the swings with me, all hell is going to break loose. 1, 2, and the little one stands up. If you saw this as a teacher in your playground, what would you do? We'd never allow it. That's bullying, right? And yet, this one, the one standing up, is using the only conflict resolution tool that she has in her toolbox. Because whenever Mom wanted to go somewhere and she wanted to stay, Mom counted to 3 and she jumped up and she went. Whenever the teacher wanted the class to be quiet and she was still busy chatting to her friend, the teacher counted to 3 and she had to jump up and go and sit at her desk with her finger on her lips. Children imitate what they see. Are we being role models for bullies? Bullying is not just found in the playground. It happens when there is a conflict of interests and a power imbalance. So from now on, I'm going to stop using the term bullying, because I know it can be a bit confusing, and I'm going to change it to the abuse of power. The abuse of power happens every day all over the world. We see it in governments. We see it in police brutality. We see it between parents and children. And sadly, sometimes we see it in the classroom. The perpetrators believe themselves to be completely right, and most of the time they don't even know that they're doing it. Counting to 3 is just one of the ways that the abuse of power happens. Sometimes there's no counting. Sometimes there's the threat of isolation. Sometimes there's the threat of beatings. Sometimes there's the threat of abandonment. I'm sure most of us can relate. When we were little, we were in the car, we were fighting with our siblings. What did our parents say? If you don't be quiet right now, I'm going to stop this car and leave you on the side of the road. This is a real and terrifying threat to a child. And it only happens because one person has the power. My car, my rules. How can we curb the abuse of power when we might be the ones teaching it? I know that it's a lot to take in, and it is certainly very humbling once you really start to notice how often this happens. But think of the profile of your average bully. Usually these people come from very aggressive homes. And that makes sense. That's how they were taught to get what they wanted. I can't help but feel that there's a better way. Now, I'm no psychiatric expert. I don't have a PhD in life. I'm younger than a lot of you. I am merely a mother of 2 very willful children and a humble psychology teacher. And it is my belief that bullying stems from an inability to resolve conflict with compassion rather than having the upper hand. This is how we were taught. This is how we were programmed to win. Look at your history. Look at the history of the world. If you want to win, you must smash the opponent. And that filters into our relationships with the people around us. What I'm doing today, what I would really like to do, is undo some of that programming. Let's have a look at a typical scenario, one that I have actually been in many times. Mom, I'll play mom, wants to go to the store, but her child is playing with toys. She speaks to him, "Hey, come, we're going." He completely ignores her. "That's it! We're going now! 1, 2, stop, we've been there." All right, let's try something new, a parallel universe, if you will. Rewind. Back to before the counting. Mom is a bit frustrated, the child is not listening, but instead of counting, she walks away. Takes a deep breath, and she says, "Why am I so frustrated?" Okay, I'm frustrated because I need to go to the shops. I don't want to go to the shops. I don't care about the milk and the sugar. But I have to get that done so that I can come home and get the rest of the stuff done that I need to do. And here's the key. She then thinks about the child. It would be pretty frustrating for him to have to just give up his game, wouldn't it? I mean, this little guy is 4 years old, and he's playing with trains. And right now, these trains are carrying a package from Dora the Explorer. And the package is going to Boots. And it's his birthday present. And if he doesn't get his birthday present, he's going to have a terrible party. And the whole day will be ruined. It is as important for him to stay as it is for the mom to go. It is a simple conflict of interest. I want to go, you want to stay. So what the mom does, she realizes rather than using her authority as the big person who can wield the wooden spoon, and in Zambia, those spoons are big, hey? She decides to use it as a learning opportunity. Instead of intimidating, she turns it into a lesson. What is this valuable skill that he could learn right now? Conflict resolution. So she sits down with him and she talks about what important thing is happening with the trains. And she tells him that she really also needs to go. And together they decide on an amount of time. So they say 10 minutes. 10 minutes from now, he agrees to pack up his toys and then he will go shopping with mom. The conflict has been resolved. Notice how the agreement also said that he would pack up. It's easy to understand. Children find it a lot more difficult to walk away from an ongoing game than a game that is finished. So by making sure that he packs up, it is your assurance that the deal will be honored. Back to mom and son. Not only has the conflict been managed without intimidation, but the child has learned a valuable resource, which he will use in the playground. When, I don't know, he wants to go to swings and his friend wants to play in the sand, he'll use it in secondary school, in a group scenario where one person is trying to take over and monopolize the group and is not allowing other people to speak. He'll use it in his relationships with his fiancée, who he loves so much, and he desperately wants a big diamond ring, and he is really passionate about not starving that month. He'll use it in his friendships. When his drinking buddies want him to stay at the pub and he has that big interview tomorrow. He'll use it at work. When his boss or his colleague wants him to work over the weekend, but he has his daughter's birthday party. He will use it to put out the flames of frustration and burning resentment. He will be the ultimate firefighter. And so now I ask you, how could we implement this idea? Because that's really all it is. It's an idea. How could we implement this in our classrooms? How can we use it to help us deal with students who might be unruly, with students who might be disrespectful? How can we teach with compassion rather than teaching with intimidation? Here's an idea. And I'm going to leave this up to you now, because I don't have all the answers. But perhaps you do. If you think of your student as behaving badly, you will automatically think that you need to punish them. But thinking of your student as struggling to cope with something enables you to think of them differently. It enables you to help them rather than punish them. This method is just a seed. And if we allow it to grow, you'll begin to start looking differently at the way that people interact with each other. It's not foolproof, I know that. I think very few methods are, but it's a start. You teaching compassionate conflict management will teach your learners the same thing, who will then teach their learners, or perhaps their children, or whoever they deal with, who will then teach theirs. And on it goes. We can't change the world overnight, but that doesn't mean that we should stop trying. We are teachers. This is what we do. We are not here for the fame and the fortune. We don't spend our weekends polishing our Porsches. We are here because we want to make a difference in the world. And so I invite you to do that. It is your responsibility to make sure that each and every one of the students in your care are better off for it. So teach with love. Some students don't get a lot of that at home. Teach compassion, because there are those out there who don't even know what that is. Teach compassionate conflict resolution rather than power structures, rather than intimidation. Undo the programming. Change the world. Thank you. All right, at this point, I need to just please ask any of the presenters in the first session, please would you stand up now and go outside. You're going to just get your tea break first before the others go. So we're supposed to make sure you have enough time. No one's leaving. Keep going.